Order at 6:39. Roll call. Everyone is present. Attest to publication. Thank you, Joni. Approval of the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Shelley. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Lisa will read the district mission, vision, and values, and also the Board of Education collective commitment.
Mission, Bangor Pride, a small school building big futures. Vision, an innovative small school creating excellence through personalized learning and relationships for all. Values, student-centered, safety, opportunities for all, small class sizes, fiscally sustainable, foster community, continuous improvement, and professionalism. The Board of Education collective commitments. As a member of the Bangor School Board, I will be an active listener who is open-minded, respectful, and inquisitive. Together, with one collective voice, we are committed to forward thinking while strategically prioritizing for our students, staff, and community now and into the future.
Thank you, Lisa. Public comment? None. Approval of minutes from February 14th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Lori to approve minutes from February 14th. All in favor? Or was? Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Student report.
So tonight we have senior Alicia Felch with us from Student Council, and she's going to do a great job, just so you know.
Okay, our spring sports, including track and softball, have begun, with baseball starting this coming Monday. The Ag Technologies class will be taking a trip to the Millsno Farm tomorrow to explore robotic milking and different advanced technologies that involve our livestock. Sam Crenshaw's signing will take place tomorrow during the school day at 2:45 p.m. Sam will be attending Western Kentucky to compete in Division I NCAA athletics for pole vaulting.
Wonderful.
Here he will be also majoring in communication disorders with the hope to become a speech pathologist. This Saturday, the forensics team will be continuing at districts, which are held at West Salem. We have a total of 8 students competing in this competition. The winter sports banquet will take place here Sunday night at 6 p.m. We will celebrate the successes of the girls and boys basketball teams. This upcoming Monday, the middle school will start state testing. This will take place over the course of 3 weeks. This Tuesday, the middle school spelling bee finalists will compete at Westby. The band and choir students will be going on their music trip Monday, the 25th through Saturday, the 30th. This year's trip will be held in Florida with 38 students attending and 10 chaperones. High school solo ensemble is Saturday, April 6th at West Salem. For choir, we have 19 students attending with 22 events total, and for band, we have 10 students attending with 23 performances. On Sunday, April 7th, there will be a wrestling banquet held here to wrap up the season accomplishments. Also on Sunday, the FCCLA will be attending a state leadership conference where 20 students will be attending. This conference will take place the 7th through the 10th. Thursday, April 8th, there will be an 8th and 11th grade parent meeting here at 5:30 and 6:45, and the sophomores will start their state testing on April 9th.
I told her she'd do a great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia.
Thanks for taking time out of your, we know, busy schedule. Thank you.
And I also wanted to comment on all of your singing that you did at the boys and girls basketball. You have a beautiful voice, and thank you for doing that.
Okay, moving on, board president's report, none. Committee reports, none. District financials.
I had the questions I shared out with everybody from Lori. Other than that, there were no other questions on the financials. If there are none, we'd look for approval of the financials.
I'll make a motion to approve the financials as presented, including Fund 21 checks and general account checks, and March 24, 2024 financial report.
I'll second.
Motion by Shelley, seconded by Lisa to approve the district financial reports. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We'll start the district reports, facility projects updates.
Yeah, again, we've taken the tour, so you guys got a chance to see, and there is from Nexus some of the progress photos and stuff that are available there to the public to kind of see what's going on in the buildings. Elementary school is looking amazing, and we are getting ready to get the furniture into the classrooms. It's going to feel like a rush, but when I look at, we're going to have the teachers have a full week, starting the 25th, to start to move things into their classroom slowly before they actually start teaching in there. We'll hit it hard Easter weekend to get any final furniture that needs to be moved, and the teachers are really going to have the 2nd and 3rd of April to settle into their classrooms. They should have everything in there that they need, and they can get working on getting ready for kids on the 4th. We should be fully ready for kids on the 4th. When I say it's going to feel stressful, but it could be worse. Oftentimes in construction projects like this, there's still projects going on and contractors in the hall as you're trying to put together furniture and the teacher's trying to put bulletin boards up, and it's very congested at that moment in time. We really should be able to allow the teachers to do what they need to do and be ready to go on the 4th. So very, very exciting. The work on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd that will be done by Nexus and everyone involved is going to be intense. So getting ready to start the demolition inside the building, so building some temporary walls. Borton was talking today, they'll start doing some of the concrete pours outside that week while there's nobody here in the way. To take care of some of those things, and then as soon as they're done with that, those crews will go in on the 4th and start the demolition inside the building. So we'll be working with them. They're going to try to do the largest part of the saw cutting, the major noise making early in the mornings. They're going to start earlier shifts and then haul stuff out and just clean out, lay out things during the day while the students are there. We will have some noise, but we've been living with that all year. We got a month and a half then to the end of the school year, and we're going to be able to get there and be in a great position for that summer push at those buildings. Here at the middle school, high school, the section of scaffolding came down today, so you can start to see the masonry, the brick on the outside of the locker room end of the weight room. So I think that's pretty exciting to see that happening. We are on schedule and planning for May 17th on a professional development day to bring in some of our athletes to help us with the install of the equipment. And they'll be carrying items in, and then we'll have professional installers putting that all together. So all looks really promising to be able to do that. We're not waiting on any materials or anything. Everything should be set to go for all of that to work. So that's really exciting. And then for the board, just tonight, the first time seeing the weight room or the tech ed area, it is really the floor in there makes all the difference in the world. Starting to feel that space and the opportunities we're going to be able to provide for students out there is going to be outstanding. Shortly here, we will be, the 25th, they'll be breaking ground on the addition at the activity center. So they're going to keep the fenced area way at the back. We'll still be able to have baseball in there through April 3rd. We'll be able to hold the election in there. And then basically as soon as that election's over, everything comes out of that building, and we're going to turn it over completely, and they're going to get into that building. So starting to see some excitement, or starting to see some things get ready there. We are optimistic they're going to start on the parking lot area as far as prepping the parking lot area and at least get gravel down. We're hoping to be able to park buses there for sectional track, and just try to accommodate all the people that would be here that day. So that would be just kind of they'd help us pack things down and settle all that gravel out there. So lots of moving pieces, trying to get it all scheduled out between now and the end of the year, and it's fallen together really well. What's not in there, I did get a brief overview on the financial updates. You know, as you guys knew, we've been running really, really well on the elementary school. We carried some of that, what we were running well on, over to the middle school, high school, and over to the activity center where we did a little bit more than we had originally planned. All in right now, we're still sitting on about $700,000 in contingency dollars, asphalt dollars, those types of things, which is really good. We will know by mid-May, after the demo. The largest part of the demo is going on in the elementary school and in the activity center, kind of how that's running. As you remember, we have been saying we really want to make sure, we're hoping that there's enough of those contingency dollars left to go towards the boilers for this building. The original number we had put on that was $510,000, and we've got some more concrete numbers on that is significantly less than that, which is a win for us. So we are looking more and more, feeling more and more confident that we will be able to really ensure that that gets done, and then still take care of the blacktop that needs to be repaired, add a little bit of blacktop out in front of the new weight room area there, to kind of extend some of that parking and whatever other little things that may come up. So we won't know for sure until that demo happens, but as Craig had shared with us, those unforeseens, you know, something that they didn't see in the designs, you know, they may be $10,000 changes and things as we go along. They're not foreseeing any huge items popping up. So we're running really well on the overall budget, and as soon as we know more, in mid-May, we'll get together and we'll start to talk about, do we order the boilers and move forward with that and kind of go from there. So, questions or anything on overall budget outlook or the timeline of the referendum and construction projects? It's going really well.
I just had one comment. I thought it was great that you guys did open up the elementary school for the Lions pancake breakfast. I mean, I took a tour. I've had several tours, but I think it just, when I was there, several people did go through. I think it just created a buzz again in the community, and people are excited. And I just thought that was great that you guys did that.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. That I was going to share that with you, and I didn't have that on my notes there. The energy from our community when they get a chance to walk in and feel that space, as many of you have experienced the first time you walk in, it's like, whoa, this is way bigger in here than what it looks like from the outside. It just feels great. I think the thing that resounded with me is I felt like I repeated myself 1,000 times that day as we were giving the tour, as Mike had his spiel going up there as well. It is really exciting to think that our K through 5th grade learning spaces will be 2006 or newer for every student K through 6 or K through 5. So I think that's just outstanding. The 4K classrooms are going to be completely renovated. Well, they'll be in that lower ceiling. That doesn't impact those 4Kers quite as much as it does some of those other students. But that space is going to get refreshed as well. So our learning spaces, our instructional spaces, which has been the focus of this all along, are going to be absolutely outstanding. And then you guys got a chance to see some of the collaborative spaces that we're gaining as well, just for doing education in a way that, continuing to evolve and change and create those community type experiences and stuff there. Mike, anything you'd add on that?
No, it was a lot of fun. Just visiting with, I think the pancake breakfast in general is just a great social event, right? But being there for the entire 4 hours or whatever it was, I think David and I both went home and took a nap after that. But it was just really good to visit with people that, I see often, but, at this stage, and just the overall excitement to be able to stand in the 1967, walk through the 2007 and get into the brand new. Everybody kind of was like, okay, I understand. Mm-hmm. This part is, and then trying to explain, just the sheer difference of where they're going to be eating pancakes next year and what that, because I'm like, the stage is going to be gone. They're like, where's that going to, so the current gym is a gym. It's rectangular this way, but then the commons will be a rectangle the other way. And that was interesting, getting people to be like, whoa, that kind of stuff. And then to have that space, just talking to different people about how we use our spaces, especially just your OTPT opportunities, your large hallways, that space in the commons to utilize, to get away from utilizing the hallway for our bicycle riding, for those gross motor skills, those types of things that people asked about. I think they were, to the person was like, that's good. That's good stuff. So, as David said, the teaching, the expanded, areas in the new edition, just how we're going to use those things will be a different type of education and a different type of opportunity for our students and our families. And I'm excited about that. I think the overall excitement about what the parents are going, it's more than just giving each kid their own cubby, which is great, but that's really not the point. We're going to do some good things. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to moving day for the teachers, are they feeling good about that? Do they have help? Do they need help? How's that going to go?
Yeah. It's been a time of uncertainty at times. I'm juggling a lot of dates that come at us, and then a lot of times, as in the construction world, those types of dates just come and go, and you don't get what you were told. And then, so it's been a learning curve for me as just leadership in the building, and just trying to keep staff informed of opportunities, yet not overshare, because then deals get broken or whatever type thing, and then there's a little bit of that sadness or animosity or whatever you want to call it. But no, I think we're good. I think we're in a good spot. The teachers, we've talked about prepping for this, and they are working, every day they're looking at their space saying, all right, what have I not used in 15 years? I still have stuff in my office from like 3 principals ago. So it's like, every classroom has that. Every classroom has probably moved that stuff like 3 or 4 times. So it's a really good opportunity for us to clean out a little bit and just focus on what we have and what we use. They're ready. They'll be fine. That week of the 25th, you hope to give them a little bit more time than that, like on the 18th or something. But I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. I think the 25th will be that day, and they'll be like, all right, we're ready to go. And, I just hope that, they'll get time in there, and David and I are going to work probably on Good Friday and Saturday and help, just whatever they don't have, so that when they walk back in after their short break, Easter break or whatever, then they'll be ready they'll just have to focus on them and teaching. And that's the goal. And a couple good days in there of organization and things just settling in. They're very excited. They're like kids. They're walking around with tape measures in there. They're measuring everything. They're seeing they're very excited. It's going to be a good thing. So to answer your question, I guess I got kind of long winded, but yeah, I think we're in a good spot,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, David, spring, summer 2024 construction.
This is not new, but I wanted to put it in here for you guys one more time as a reminder, and for the community. I think one of the things, as we've talked about this project all along, and we talked about all these bright new spaces and how we're going to kind of shut things down for a summer so they become construction zones, is I won't say it was an afterthought, but it was oh my goodness, what did we just do to our gym space for the summer? And we all know this is a community that gym space is pretty important. So we've done some jockeying, we've done some things. We had originally talked about the elementary gym being kind of, floor covered, and that being a place where we store a lot of stuff in the summer. We said we can't really afford to give up a gym just to store it. So this gym and the activity center are going to be under construction. They're going to be being refinished and those types of things. So we lose those, and there's some concrete things that we just can't go in. But we have found a way, and we're gonna bring some things into that new addition and store them out there instead of storing them in the gym for the summer. And we're gonna make it work. So this schedule just kind of lays it out. So for our community to understand, if you request gym space this summer, it's going to be very limited. We have hit our coaches first, and we're getting them scheduled, and then we can put a little note out if you need gym space for the summer. We'll put it on Facebook or whatever. Now's the time to request it because it's going to be very limited. But we want to get, Gene and I are working on that, getting all of our coaches scheduled for the time that they need, and we're going to be able to accommodate that. We're confident in that, and then from there, we'll have some other times available for the community. Hit the blood drive. So we're moving the blood drive from July 10th to July 3rd so that we can do it here at the end of summer school in the afternoon after summer school. They'll come in through the middle school door for that, kind of use the locker rooms as bathrooms because this area will be closed off and under construction. But it was kind of like, goodness, what do we do with that? So, and that's important because not only is it a community service, but there's scholarship dollars tied to the amount of blood that our group raises and brings in for a year. So trying to navigate all that, think ahead to all of those types of things to make sure that we're there. I promise we will not do it perfectly, but we're doing the best that we can to try to navigate and get everybody in that needs to get in. So I just wanted to put that there. If community is curious on it, it's a good document to kind of explain the timeline of what's going on. Any questions on that? All right. Can I go right into the next one? Ma'am?
Yes,
All
go
right.
ahead.
So this has been a question of a couple of board members for quite a while, talking about open enrollment and what are the numbers and how many and what are we approving and all those types of things. And I think it's a conversation. It's the size of the addition and the open enrollment question and our enrollment in general was a question that I fielded multiple times during the pancake breakfast as well. People, are we really growing, or whatever it may be. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for our community just to understand kind of what the open enrollment trends for our district have been over time. So I'll have you go to the next slide there, John. So first of all, Wisconsin open enrollment system has been in place since 1998. So this is not a new thing to our district. Interdistrict public schools, that's the definition, allows parents to apply for their children to attend another public school in which they do not reside. That's the basis of open enrollment. It's the lay of the land. It is completely open for people to go to another public school. I think it's just, there are countless reasons, and you can do all kinds of research on this. You can poll all your families. The reasons are endless why families choose what they choose. Some of them are as simple as childcare, geography to the work, the geography in the district. If you live at the far north or south end of this district, you are not much further from Melrose or Cashton for school. And if that makes more sense because your parents are traveling that way, sometimes that happens in that piece of information, or in that piece. The commute for parents, programs offered by the schools, connections to community, and there's always something. There's something, with every student that comes into our district. There's a reason why they decided to walk away from their resident school district, and there's a reason why everybody leaves. So I mean, it's a back and forth. The bottom line is it's the lay of the land. That's how our state functions, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. If you can go to the next slide. If you click on this link on the website or on our board docs, this will actually take you directly to the DPI website. So there are time periods that are open enrollment time periods, the formal open enrollment time, and then there's also time periods that it doesn't. You can open enroll anytime and file for an exemption for the remainder of that year. What that means is basically 12 months a year. If you want to switch your kid from school district to school district, you're able to do that. And we see a lot of those throughout the year. ins and outs, we see those going in and changing throughout the year, every year. That's not a new trend. There's just constantly that turmoil. There's a very limited number of reasons why you can decline an open enrollment. So we do set that cap for the overall class size in January. All districts have to set those caps. Specifically, you can set them for special ed. So there can be criteria there, or just general, what it would be the limit for our class sizes. That's a guide document. It is not concrete when we set it in January, which means if we're over that, but we are also over in our when you're talking number of sections, you're high in your in district population, and it would make more sense to pull in a couple more and add another section. You have the ability to do that. It's a guide document for denial of an open enrollment. So that piece of it. Other than that, if there's an expulsion, it's pretty clear that we have the right, if a student is expelled from a different district, to decline their open enrollment due to that. If we don't offer the program because they're in a district has a specific program that they are in, and we don't offer that type of programming in this district, then we can decline because we don't offer that same opportunity in our district like they do there, and vice versa. And those things change over time. So again, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that, there's some information there. If you go to the next slide. This is the same slide that I showed you last month when we were just looking at the overall head count for our district. 567 in 2012 to the 24 projected of about 645 is what we're looking at when we look at the ins and the outs, the graduating seniors, the incoming 4Kers, and all of those types of pieces that we know for next year. Again, I said it last month and I'll say it again, the slow and steady climb is much more manageable than an exponential climb, or what much of the state is facing is that declining enrollment over time. So we're positive trend there. If you go to the next slide. The ins and outs. So just like our enrollment has increased over time, the use of open enrollment statewide and in our district has continued to increase. So back in 2013, you saw we had 60 ins, 63 outs. I'm not going to read all those to you, but you can see that progression over time. More people are choosing to leave, more people are choosing to come in. 22-23 and 23-24, if you look at that, are the first two years that the district has been ahead with more students coming in than leaving. And I'm going to show you why that's a pretty good thing for the district. We did have 18 that was even, 18-19 school year that was even, and practically even in 2020 as well. So you can kind of see that trend over time. The board, in your documents, you actually have per grade level over time to kind of see that trend as well. Next slide. So that open enrollment trend, what's the differential? So ins to outs, how many students are we gaining or losing because of open enrollment? So you can see 2013, 14, 15, 16, all the way up to 17, 18, we were losing enrollment on those years. So we had more outs than ins. We were even in 18, we lost quite a bit in 19, and you can see that trend just in 22, 23, and 23, 24 start to turn a little bit to be to the positive side. It does make a difference when you have a large graduating class that a number of those students might have been open enrolled and or in or out. That number is going to fluctuate a lot based on that, and then how many 4K students come in. I think if you looked at the trends in general, you're going to see that really for the majority of families, once they make a decision, they stick with that decision. So if you see a group of 10 or 12 that start in 4K, either in or out, they kind of stay with that group over time. So whatever choice that family made, they stick with it. Where they start, they tend to stay with. And that's because we have good school districts all around us. And just like if they start with us, they're more likely to stay with us. So that's good there. If you go to the next slide. So the financial part of this is we know that our per pupil revenue authority this year is $11,000 per pupil. And I'll remind folks that that does not mean that's money we get from the state. That means we have revenue limit authority to tax up to $11,000 per pupil or per pupil. So we are still setting the mill rate up to that amount. Next year, that amount goes to $11,350. And as it stands right now, I think that happens for the next 250 years or something like that, where it goes up by $350 a year. The regular education tuition then, so if we have a student that lives in our district, they count as an FTE and we can tax for that $11,000. Regular education tuition means if they leave our district, we actually pay that district that they go to $8,618, and we hold on to the remainder of that. On the flip side, if we have a student come in, we only get $8,618 for that student instead of the full $11,000. So that tuition piece, that's a regular education student, K through 12. Regular education 4K students, remember they're 0.6 FTE. We get $5,171 either way. Special education tuition, regardless of how much special education support you need, the tuition out or in is $13,470. That does not change our per pupil revenue authority for that student. So when a special education student leaves our district through open enrollment, we automatically lose money on that, if that makes sense. So that's how it goes. I said earlier that frequently we have students open enroll in or out during a school year, and that's common everywhere. They're prorated then through that school year. So it's based on the number of days they were in each school district. We don't get the open enrollment count and the funds like from last year. We're getting them now in the next couple of months. So we settle up all at the end of a year and either get a check or we lose money on the next revenue limit sheet. So that's kind of how that works. If you go to the next slide, and then we'll make sure that you guys ask the questions that you want. The cost impact of open enrollment to our district based on the data that I've shared you is right here. So from 2013 to 2021, we've lost money on open enrollment. In 22-23 and 23-24, we're ahead for the first time. We were ahead in students, we're ahead financially. Obviously the best thing altogether would be all of the Bangor residents would just stay here and we didn't have to take anybody. But as long as we have the choice and people are leaving, having at least enough to cover that difference and slightly to the positive is by far where we want to be. Where we want to be on that positive side of that trend. And that would be every school district across the state is having that same conversation. We sure want to have a few more in than we have out. If you look at, and I've got it on the next slide, if you think about those other slides, when we gained in 2022-23, when we gained 30 students, it's not like our population jumped by 30, right? So that tells me, in general, the population of our Bangor school district, like every other school district in the state of Wisconsin, is slightly declining. Those 30 that we gained helped keep us moving forward in that overall enrollment, which, again, when you look at the financial side of that, that's a better place to be. All right, next slide. So some of the observations, the statewide, the use of open enrollment continues to grow to meet the needs of families, and it's there, it's available to all families, and it's used heavily. Bangor trends towards a positive in our ratio. Those trends towards the positive speaks positively of the district. This is a district that people want to be in, and I think we continue to do things that will hopefully continue to keep that ratio in our favor. Trends indicate that most open enrollment choices are permanent, but some do change in time. So going back to that, if they start there in kindergarten 4K, they often stay there throughout the longevity of their time in school, in here or in a different district, however that may be. And then to my point on that last slide that I just made, that increase of 20 to 30 students is really in a very small way increasing the enrollment overall to the district. So those are some of my takeaways as I look at those slides. Questions, and we can go back. John can probably flip you back to any of those. But I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say misinformation, there's a lot of misunderstanding of open enrollment, what it means, how many kids we're accepting, all of those types of things. For me, digging into the data, putting a couple of these visuals together really starts to show the meaningful parts for us and how we continue to do that. So when we look at open enrollment for 4K, especially this year, which we'll be talking about as we talk staffing over the next couple months, to deny becomes dangerous if we're declining open enrollment when they're trying to come to us early. So I think that's a important factor, and I think we'll talk back to these slides in the next few months. All right. Anything else or any other questions?
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
So, one of the slides you put up there, it was one of the early ones, but you talked about how, here's some of the reasons people open enroll outside, and we'd like to keep our students here, right, if we can. So I know one of the big ones, and you're probably all going to throw things at me, but one of the big ones is obviously daycare. I mean, that's common knowledge in probably a lot of districts and stuff like that. So I guess my question is, once we start to think about the future and you think about the ones we're losing because of a daycare issue, what are we doing to figure out how we can possibly create something to keep more of the, because I don't think it's the before school thing as much as it's that 3 o'clock to, I hear the 3 o'clock to 5:30 type of thing. So, I mean, I think from a due diligence perspective, what can we do to handle, because I think that's one of the biggest reasons people go out. And I know, Mike, you've done
Mike's
a lot of
probably
this,
the most tied to this, so I'm going to let him answer first, and then I have one other add.
Yep. So you remember, I think it was 3 years ago, we sat down and had a large discussion, had parents in and had a discussion, and it just clearly is not a good investment for the district to invest into that scenario because the numbers just aren't there. What we have done, and this spring, I had 4 people that reached out to me, and 3 of the 4, I think, said that they were open enrolling to somewhere, typically West Salem, because of the Boys and Girls Club on the other side of that. When talking with them, though, and looking at options, so we have recently had a couple daycare type opportunities before after school care pop up locally, but also working with Kelly Peterson to work with our website and the Parenting Place and the state websites to keep updating the daycare, the licensed daycares in our community that are actually open and looking for before and after school care. So then talking to some of those people and now being able to send those phone calls or emails to our website and say, please look on this list, please reach out to these people. That seems to be working. And, just thinking about this too, if we have an expanded presence of care in our community today than we did even a year and a half ago. And that is having a positive impact. And having a better presence on our website to say, we're steering you in a direction, but we're careful not to promote or recommend or whatever you want to call it, but staying with our because not all of our care facilities in town are licensed. So that is something for us to be careful about and to think about. But we can go with the state information. We can go with the parenting place register to say, if you put in your zip code, you get these things. So there has been this spring has been positive with some of that, and in terms of, and then me following up with those parents those parents and just saying, please visit our website. There are options in our community for before and after school care. But here's another piece, and I don't know how we fix this one, but in talking to a couple of parents, like when I grew up, my dad worked, and I had a neighbor kid that got off the bus with me and stayed with me until my dad got home. And we don't have that community to community, house to house, who's in your neighborhood feel right now. And I think that's such a societal thing that we need to promote. Kelly Peterson is putting together right now another babysitting class and an after school care class that will happen here in April. And the district will provide space for that and all of those types of things. So our effort is trying to bring that knowledge of who your neighbors are and how we can work together as a community for that little bit of time afterwards. And it's going to take some time, but that's what we have done this spring already.
That's helpful because, I didn't really know any of that. I guess I don't go look on the website for childcare anymore, but, so that's helpful. The other thing is just sitting here with the Western thing in front of us, there's a lot of between Western and some of the, high schools type of thing. There's some apprenticeship types of programs that are being offered too. Not saying that that's something we should do, but it might be something, again, as a avenue for maybe Kelly to look at to see how we can expand that, because I think that's the biggest challenge for people is they don't think there's anything in Bangor. So,
and quite honestly, there hasn't been.
Right.
But as the other piece of it is too, when we really talked about it, the parents were asking me, is the district going to do this, let's say? And you try to explain all the history and how it's just not a financial thing, right? Which isn't the answer they're looking for. But if we went into business in this field, we would close X number of local businesses that are doing exactly what they want to be doing in our community. We need more of that. We don't need less of that.
Yeah,
So
and I'm not suggesting that we do that. I'm not suggesting, I think from a financial perspective,
Right.
I don't think it makes sense for us to
Correct.
be in business doing that. I just wanted to hear from you guys,
Yep.
like what we are doing to preface that and
Yeah.
kind of cut it off before it gets to be kind of a bigger
Yeah,
issue. And it sounds like
and
you
at any
have.
point in time, if you're asked in the community, certainly I'm the hub of that information because those are my people are the ones that need the after school and before school.
Good to know though.
Yep.
I didn't know all that information. So
Well,
thank you.
it's taken about, Kelly and I have been working on this most of the year, and then getting that up and running, and her, again, then expanding and offering the after school or the trainings for Christy Harris will come in and do babysitting and then safe at home for 4th and 5th graders.
That's just another reason why Kelly's position was such a good position to add. So it
Agreed.
just kind of validates that. So
Agreed.
Thanks, Mike.
Another connection there. I think to your point financially, if you remember a little over a year ago, I did the presentation on Fund 80 and kind of disaggregating between the money that we get from the state per pupil really needs to focus on educating our students 4K through 12. And if we start peeling off of that to provide a child care at district expense, we're taking away from the kids that we're really being, funded to educate. If the district wanted to do that, that would be a place where we could use Fund 80, which is a community fund, to levy for that. You're still taxing, it's addition. We weren't interested in that when we had that conversation. I don't think that has changed. So our effort has been, and Kelly has been amazing. How do we build the resources that our community needs, and how do we help support those folks? And I know Mike's had a ton of conversations. I've had folks pop in and chat chat with me and offer. And we said, you know what, we have to be really careful in how we recommend. But if you're a licensed childcare center, we're sure going to put it on our website. We're going to, so we want to support and kind of direct folks so they have those resources.
Is there part of that website? I mean, I know it's on the website, but people look at Facebook a little bit more. Is there something we can point them to there just so that I'm thinking like as people start to think about fall and going, if they're thinking about.
Yeah, I think that when we, it would probably be in the next week or two, we'll be promoting the babysitting classes and that. And I think that that's just a natural connection. Yeah. One of the hard parts we have is, people are okay with a child who is able to, provide babysitting or whatever. They just don't really know, like, how do you go down the road and bump into your neighbor? They don't even, like, a lot of times they're like, I don't know which, high school kids or middle school kids live near me. Right. It's true. That's the reality of it. I mean, drive around town and
the social skills aren't there because everybody does this nowadays.
Yeah. Yep. And that, we do have a very strong social media presence, along with just our community social media presence, not school related, right. which is, they're very willing to share and get that word out. So I think as we get closer to this, probably in the next 2 weeks, is what you'll probably end up seeing, something like that.
Thanks, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question in regards to it. I asked for the information too, just because I was curious. We took this off our agenda and I haven't seen it in a while. And when I see 22 and 23 and we see the number of open enrollment, which is great, and I know we need to offset, I guess I would like to see it back on the agenda so we know how many are in and out, because I had no idea. I mean, this jump in 10 years is a lot. And I know there were a lot of things that happened in that time, COVID, other things in the area, things like that. But when we started the build, we were doing it as a projection of our community growing. So I know you probably have to look at all those things when you approve that and think of it, but I hope we're going off the data of what we're thinking our growth will be in that time frame too, because when you do the open enrollment and we're talking, 4 to, 4th, 5th, those early years, they're going to be here for that amount of time too during that growth. So you don't want to turn anybody away, but on the same side, I think you're in a really hard balancing act at the same time in the facilities and the funds that we put in. So then your taxpayers are going to be asking you, we're paying for this. We have to make sure there's room too for the growth that comes with it, I guess was the main reason I asked.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that resounds with me is if you look at the Holman School District and you look at that area and the amount of construction happening in that area, they're still declining enrollment. And, over the last few years, that's the trend that community is on. So it is probably not the same as it used to be as far as a house is going to mean another kid in the school district, or a house, it might be 3 houses, and the larger family is not, is less likely. Now, could that change again? And if that changes after we build another 50 houses in Bangor and Rockland, then it's going to be it's going to be a big explosion at that point in time. But that trend, even with the new construction, is that the school districts across the state, and that's I'm using Holman because that one blew my mind when you see the amount of construction going around there. They're declining. So the building of new homes, the continued expansion of the community is going to help keep us stable and steady, and not in the same downward path of most of the state. So that's why even with that 20 to 30, we've only gone up 2-3 kids per year, or 1 or 2 kids per year, because our community base is getting smaller. So the more housing, the more you build that base back up. Yes, it could happen, but I'm just saying it. We know that the new Shelley Miller edition has more students in it that are open enrolled out because they moved in during the school year, and they kept their kids in the school district that they were in. So again, a new house, a new apartment does not necessarily mean we're getting new kids right now. So with all of that said, I understand exactly what you're saying on that trends, and I can bring that more frequently. We put that in policy. I can bring it more frequently.
I don't need that. I just think that we need to be aware, I think as a board, we need to be aware of who's coming in and who's coming out, because I didn't know these numbers. That's all. And I understand the whole, we follow the rules and we want to make sure everybody's welcome. And I think to Lori's point too, like working to keep who we have too. I mean, we're obviously going to have plenty of space, right? I mean, that's what we built for. So
we're gonna be in good shape space wise for quite a few years. It's gonna take some exponential growth to put us in a behind the eight ball types position.
I think it's a good idea to put it back on the agenda, be transparent, see, and watch the trends, even throughout the school year. You know, I don't know, every month or every other month. I don't remember what we did it before.
And it doesn't, I mean, just, I think informationally, I think, you know, I don't want to approve it. That's what we have. That's what we have administration for.
And
I don't want.
Oftentimes they're already basically approved by the time we get to the board meeting because you start them when they.
You have to.
So that's why
we don't need to approve
maybe
it.
It's 6 months. Maybe it's something. I don't know.
And maybe every 6 months I can update these slides and just share them out, you know, with you guys, just so that you're seeing those.
Or maybe with the open, maybe when you do the January the list that we cap, then give us these numbers, or when we talk about class sizes, anytime within the year
that's a good
you want to
idea.
start doing it. I just think it's beneficial.
I pulled it all now, and I've got, you know,
Now it's
8 or
gonna be
10
easier.
hours in putting this together. Now it's easy to add the next year.
Thank you.
Versus doing it. But I wanted to be able to. It was interesting because I talked to these guys as I had it together. I said, "Look at these trends. I mean, look at what we're seeing. We felt it. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, we felt it. We've talked about it. You know, because you see your overall enrollment growing. You see that number positive to negative. You know, those types of things. But I think to actually see the data on that spreadsheet and put it together like this was helpful. So I can definitely just keep this updated. And when we're talking about enrollment, when we're talking about, you know, those types of things, bring this back out and say, this is the fresh version.
It just reminds me of when we do the mill rate.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of that graph that we go through and look at. And I think it's important to view it and see it.
Last month was giving you a lot of that financials over time. This month was giving you this. So that's all part of my trying to have that communication out there so our community understands.
And since I've been here a while, I'll give a little update on the middle high school. So 2007 was the largest we've been in the high school since I've been here. We were at 231 students. We're currently at about 204. So it was after that, that right around that time is when Webster's then they ceased to be what they were. And then we ended up dropping down, I think 2012, somewhere in there, we were down to 161. So since then, we've been slowly climbing back up to, for us to get back to 231, we don't have the class sizes coming up right now. Even most of what Mike has are 45 students, so we're going to be back around 180 to 190 if that trend continues. So, I just want to give a little historic because, you know, somebody had said last year we were at 210. They're like, wow, that's huge. I had some of my teachers say that, and I said, I've been here when we've been at 231. We had 60 people out for the football team as well. So, I mean, because you might ask, how do I know? Well, every year for football playoffs, it goes off the previous year's enrollment. So I know all those numbers. You just kind of track that. But so I kind of want to just historically, yes, we have been larger, but we had classes of 60. We had some of those, and we haven't seen many of those where our largest right now is our junior class at 54, I believe it is. So as they graduate out and our other classes come up, you'll see unless we get, open enrollment. And I think part of that goes to what David was saying within our community. We're not seeing quite as many kids per family as we had, so that maybe that has a little bit to do with it. But just historically, we've been larger than we are currently.
if I can add to real quick on that open enrollment, right now my building, when I started here, for years I had two classes probably in the 30s. And now I don't have a class in the 30s, but I also don't have anything jumping way over 50 either. 45 is a really great number for my building, and we're all in that range of those numbers. You know, you get some classes that are a little bit higher, but a little bit smaller. And then I think as far as the daycare question too, back to that again, that I had 4 people that called me on that, but I think that the full day, 4-day a week care or school has really been a positive for our community and overall. That's been a real positive. So that people comment about that. So.
Okay, anything else about that? All right, great discussion. All right, next, district action agenda, resurfacing the gym floors.
Yeah, we got this pulled up here. So obviously we had the $30,000 donation. I had been in conversation with the Booster Club about that. The kind of intention was that the Booster Club would cover about half of each of the floors at the middle school, high school, and activity center. When I had those initial conversations with the Booster Club and they were about that, one of the first things I heard was, if we're going to design this, let's design it so it looks different, so it stands out, and kind of go from there. Mike had originally had a couple of contacts with vendors. I ended up kind of stepping in because in Mike's schedule, we weren't getting follow up and follow through from the vendors, being able to contact them. We actually had 2 come and spend some time on site, kind of giving us an idea of price and giving us an idea of designs and those types of things. One we contacted multiple times and we could not get to move off dead center. So we went with those first 2. After the walk for one of them, they never gave me numbers or any drawings or anything like that. So that left us with Stalker Floors, which Stalker Floors is the probably the most used flooring company in the state of Wisconsin. Been doing it a really, really long time, family business, and they do an outstanding job. Talked to multiple other districts that have used Stalker, used some of the other companies and wish they had used Stalker. So feel very good about the moving forward with Stalker Floors. Was able at the state convention to go to their booth, get some ideas from them, see some of the drawings or some of the pictures and stuff they had at the booth, bounce some things around them, and then shared with them a number of concepts that we had been bouncing around here. So just here's this. We're kind of thinking maybe this, and I shared that document with the board that I had sent to them. Give us an idea of what some floors would look like with the intentions of getting multiple designs. As we've had those designs come in and people have had a chance to take a look at them, and I had shared them out with the whole board to kind of get some feedback. There were some very, very distinctive, what the heck is that and why do we want that, which I heard loud and clear. And there was some distinctive, I really like that, that's really cool, and kind of development of designs there. So upon board request, I wanted to give lots of options, but I will tell you that most of those options are not something that I'm terribly excited about. Can I have the clicker? Sorry, because I'm going to guess we're going to go back and forth about 30 times here. So if I can have that, that would be great. So going through, that's the process that we walked through. We started just getting some concepts. We had found this bird kind of coming through the wall or coming through the floor. It looked kind of cool. We saw it on the gym floor, and I think everyone, including myself, was like, "No, that's not what we're looking for." We talked about the bee in the center of the court, and the bee has kind of become the resounding. That's what we'd like at center court. This is the middle school, high school, and they put that cardinal there with the eyes coming through. And again, we decided quickly that was not something that we liked. You will start to see that the stain has changed on the floor, and that's something we talked about a lot. Doing a stain versus just a clear finish over it, differentiating the 3-point area and those types of things. And this, with the inside the 3-point lanes still light and the rest of the court being dark, was something that kind of evolved into, we liked that. This was a concept that came up, and we liked the B, the red in the lanes and all those types of things. And we had this concept from a basketball shirt from years ago with the Cardinals' eyes coming through the word Cardinal. And when we saw it on the court, again, I would probably say the majority of people said, I don't like that. It doesn't look good. So we kind of moved on from that. One of the designs that I saw from a different school district at the state convention was this fade. And when I shared that with folks, people are like, ooh, that looks kind of cool. That's unique. That would stand out. That would be something specific to our community. So we said, hey, let's take a look at the fade. And they started to show us that. Unfortunately, that one was still with the Cardinals. That was the price that we have. So I have a not to exceed price on here. You're going to see at the end, this is the one that was priced. It's going to change a little bit with whatever we decide, but that gives us a pretty good ballpark on which price that we have. We got to this one and we said, let's just use the word Cardinals instead of the Cardinals with the eyes coming through, but similar. And people really liked the fade. They liked the stain. They liked the B in the center, kind of a progression. You'll also see in this progression, that font is the exact same font that's on our floor right now. And we wanted it to be different. So we changed to a different font. So just, again, kind of differentiating between what it is right now. And that's just the word Cardinals. And then we threw the winged cardinal on, and we thought maybe that would be a good look to go with that as well. And then they threw this one at me, and this one is one that really resounded has resounded well as we've bounced it off of people. So again, when you look at the middle school, high school floor, there's a few different decision points that we can talk about tonight and kind of make sure everybody's on board. The staining is becoming, the differential in the staining is becoming a pretty common thing, and really looks sharp on a basketball court. We liked it for this gym, for our varsity gym, to be the main court, and then the 3-point area is the lighter. We still like the lane painted, so the staining is part of it. The baseline, obviously the fade has been in a number of these. It is very distinct. It is very different feel than what we have right now. The baseline text is different than what we have right now. One of the things, I guess, so I'm gonna keep going. The third thing is then the center. You know, what is at center court. The B is going to be prevalent throughout our weight room. The B is going to become more prevalent in this room. It is mixed with the winged cardinal throughout all of our design, but you'll see both of those types of things. And I would say for most of our teams, their logos have moved to more of the B than the winged cardinal for our athletic teams. I would say as a district, you know, it's more the winged cardinal. You know, but as far as our athletic teams, I would say we're using that motion B more than we're using the cardinal. If you can, the school versus the athletic teams. So that's kind of the progression there. A couple other things to note is on all of these, you're seeing the Bangor Booster Club logo coming in both entryways into that gym. With that donation of $30,000, we would have 2 of them in this gym and 1 at the activity center as you go in the main doors there. The courts are all the same in both buildings as far as there's the main basketball court there. There's the main volleyball court there. There are 2 sideways volleyball courts. There are 2 sideways basketball courts. And then there are the pickleball / badminton courts as well. So right now, Jordan has taken the time over a weekend and put the temporary paint on our gym floor for the badminton unit that he's doing. He won't need to do that in the future. It will be built in, and really kind of blends in. We talked about, well, will the fade be distracting to the volleyball team? You know, and they're like, never really thought about it. I don't see the basketball court when I'm at a volleyball game, you know, and you really, if you think about it, you don't. So we felt that would be good as we talked with the coaches that will be using it for those varsity sports. So that's really the evolution. Again, we can look at the different components of that. I'll jump now to the activity center and then we'll have lots of conversations about this. This is just the artwork so you can see. One of the things that you'll notice is there's a little bit of a tan tint to the one on the right, which is the actual artwork. It's really hard to get a true white on a gym floor because the finish that goes on is going to have a little bit of an amber tone to it. So they show you that so that you're not expecting it to be this pure bright white, which is why they're showing us what that B would look like on the floor. That's the Cardinal that I think we've moved on for. The Booster Club, again, the whites is going to be a little bit less white when it's all said and done, but I think still very clear on that logo, and planning for that to be about a 4-foot circle. We had the conversations of the wall design. Right now, what we are planning on is that bottom. So how that ties into the gym. The crossing of those lines is significant, and that's the same pattern that will be used to kind of break up the floor space out in this area, in the commons and in the hallways. So it's kind of carrying that transition into the other building. When you look at the elementary school, we have all square corners on those floor tiles. In the activity center, the entryway into the activity center is going to be a combination of those diagonals and squares. So it's a bringing both designs together in that space. So
It says Bangor logo. What logo's going there?
would you like to put the cardinal there?
I would like to see the winged cardinal.
Yeah, I think that would be a great place for the winged cardinal. Yep.
Right. The winged cardinal is hard some places because it's,
Yep.
you know.
And right now it says Bangor Cardinals, and then it's got the winged cardinal. There's enough space for it to potentially say the words, or we can just put the cardinal up there as well. So I'll get you the graphics and I'll bring you those before that goes up. At the activity center, then the concept of the activity center is it's evolved. And we've had the conversations about the ties to the community and ties to the history of that building. The concept was to bring the logo back that would have been used more at the time that high school was used. So the Fighting Cardinal in the center of the court. And we still want to do some staining there. You will see there's a price difference on these two gyms. The more staining, the more expensive. So it's a little bit less staining, but it's still going to give us some of that effect inside the 3-point area here. And again, there's a premium to the cost for the fade and all of those types of things. So this is just a solid red that will definitely still feel different. All the same courts will exist now in that building. We'll have double volleyball, the ability to do the double volleyball and, 2 basketball courts and all of those types of things. And just keeping this one simple. If you look at this one, the bleachers,
I was just going to ask.
the bleachers would be on this side. So we flipped it over. So the Cardinal faces the bleacher side. So the bottom of that would actually be facing north. And then the side with no bleachers is the top where they'll have, you'll see the X and the lines. Those are the coaches' boxes. So we'll set the teams up over there, put the scorers table up over there. They can check in at the X and those types of things. So those are designed out on both of the concepts as well. And this is the drawing that is priced for the activity center. So when we look at that, if we wanted more continuity, we could put the B on that court instead of the Fighting Cardinal. So we just gave that as a concept as well. That's the Cardinal. When we get to the timeline and the pricing, We're looking at July 5th through August 9th for the middle school, high school gym here, with the fade, with the extra staining, with the extra size of this gym versus the other one. This is more expensive, $39,100. There's going to be some additional small repairs, and that's why I've got the budget not to exceed and a little bit larger. One of the things that we want to address is the electrical outlets that are currently in the floor, and actually get rid of those. They have caused fires in some school districts, so we want to get rid of that. So they'll patch in a little bit where they are, and then we'll have the electricians, while they're hanging the lights in there, bring us some outlets down on the wall that we can bring out. Yep, yeah. And if you've walked down that side when there's a game, you have to walk up over a big ramp, and we want to eliminate that. So that's right where the outlets come up. So we're going to take care of a couple of those little repairs as needed. There's another little corner of the gym, and we should be able to get all of that within the numbers that I've shared here. And then the activity center floor is a little bit less expensive, less staining, less square footage, without the fade, those types of things. You can see that coming in at $27,365. And that would be completed September to October. So our volleyball and stuff will be impacted. That's in that communication I put out earlier, especially in the fall. But we will get through this fall, and then we'll have a beautiful space for that. So I definitely, we can have some conversation about this. Right now, based on all of the conversation that we've been through, to this point in time, that I've gotten feedback from multiple board members and our coaches and our administrative team and stuff like this, I would say this is probably the most developed and the concept that we like the most for the middle school, high school gym, and the one with the Fighting Cardinal is the most kind of appreciated for the activity center. So again, there's five areas, that you can definitely kind of change out here. And I can also always email them and say, hey, switch this out with this and give me a graphic on this. And they've been really good with that the last couple times and turning that around. So I'll open it up for discussion, and then hopefully a motion to move forward so that we can get those contracts locked in and get those timelines set.
So the Cardinals, the word Cardinals is the same, other than one's got a fade and one doesn't, right?
Correct. Between 6 and 7?
Between the high school and the activity center.
Yes. Same font, yep.
Both say Bangor at the end. Black and one's in red.
I like the Cardinals without the eyes, personally. I like Concept 7 the best. I like maybe this school being the focus. I mean, this is our varsity sports, our JV freshman teams. I kind of like that this gym being the focus. I get what we're doing with the Fighting Cardinal at the old school, or activity center. I'll never get over that, calling it that. But I mean, I get it. Like, if we're keeping the conference plaques the same,
Yep.
the Fighting Cardinals on the conference plaque. If we're, I know you had mentioned possibly doing a wall out of the refurbished bleachers, bringing in some photos of maybe the history of that building. I mean, I get that. I'm not going to argue, if somebody is completely against it, or, as a group. I mean, I can live with the B too, either or there. I guess that's just my opinion. But yeah, I guess if I had to vote, I would vote number 7, and I guess the 2 that you had outlined or highlighted. Yeah.
After I got past the eyed,
I didn't like that.
I think I calmed down a little bit. I'm like, what is this?
I have heard, I don't know how many times I've heard from you, we want to see lots of options.
For that one being the first one,
was,
when you open the email, for that one being the first one you've seen, it's like, what the heck is going on here?
Well, and then
It's
this
like,
one, I
wow.
looked at it how many
Well,
times, I'm like,
Yeah,
I didn't
what
like
is
that
it?
either, yeah.
is that a peak? Is that a, what?
Couldn't figure out what that one was either.
The other one looked like you dropped an egg. Like the first one, it looks like you dropped an egg and it
The
exploded.
concept is cool, but it just doesn't come through.
Doesn't resonate well.
No.
We have said that multiple times. When we looked at the image the first time, it's like, hey, that's pretty cool. When we saw it on the gym floor, like, oh no, that's not. But I shared with you the concepts and the evolution that we went through, and we were trying different things to do what I had told the booster club I would, and that was, let's make it significantly different. Let's make it stand out. Let's make it look awesome. So we were just trying to get to significantly different, and we definitely figured out which directions we don't want to go along the way as well.
I'm not gonna lie, I like the Booster Club logo the best.
Exactly, I like that. Well,
I like the head.
Well,
I like-
Shelley, you would like
You're not impartial.
I know, and it doesn't have anything to do with that. I just like that part
Just
of it.
like
And,
it, yeah.
You know, I guess
Andrew
with,
did a great
with
job.
the old mascot and stuff like that, it just has, and you know, granted, you want to move forward, but it does have a very big history that resonates through the district. You know, a lot of the older generation recognize that, and yeah, me too. But you know, it was the neatest thing. There was a local farmer that he had that on his red pickup. You know, that you seen, that was him, and you know, showing that nice and proud through town and things that way. But it's an activities, it's a community activity center that the community is a part of,
Where they'll vote.
where they'll
Right,
vote,
you know.
where the taxpayers, you're coming to them for referendum dollars in the very short future. You know, that's something they're proud of. I really think that's huge up there for that.
And I'm going to be the one that speaks up because I'm the one that's probably caused the biggest ruckus, so to speak. I love what you guys have done with the transition that has happened with the high school. I think that I love the last one with the Cardinals, with the, you know, the bleed of the black and the red, the B. I think it ties into our weight room and what we're doing there. I think it ties into what we have seen in this district over the last, as the logo from the winged cardinal to the bee has all transitioned and everything like that. I'm going to speak now from a marketing perspective. And you made a comment, David, about how you put some things together to tie little things from this building to the activity center and from the elementary school to the activity center. And I think that was one of our goals, right? To say that we had a campus that all tied together. And so for me, that resonates as a marketing brand for me. So my question is, what is our brand? Because in 22 years that I've lived here, I've never seen the Cardinal on anything really, school-related, district-related. And so it will resonate with the people who have lived here prior to that. Is it going to resonate with the people who are new to this district, who are bringing their kids? I get the voting thing. So that would be my question, is we're trying to create one campus, and I think by not having them a little bit more consistent, it creates kind of a, I don't want to say it, it's discombobbled, I guess, from a marketing perspective, because I would wonder now, so am I going to start seeing the Cardinal on all my shirts, or am I going to start seeing, you know, is our logo changing, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm looking at it from a marketing perspective. What is our brand? What do we want that brand to be? And for me, I identify that it's the bee or the winged cardinal because that's what we've had the most recent. And again, I've lived here for 22 years. This is the first time I've seen this on anything except for one great Northwest basketball team who tried it and couldn't get people to buy it because nobody knew what that was.
I guess I have to disagree. I mean, that's what you've seen, that's fine, but I know of several great Northwestern basketball teams that wore that. My 3 kids and a lot of the teams they were on, and they love that shirt. So, just saying.
I would say that I really like number 7. Like from the progression from 1 to 7, I really like 7. I think all of the colors are sharp, but they look very nice. And so we talk about kind of keeping together uniform and everything. I would like to see 7 here and there. And I don't know what that price difference is, but we talk about that being the also performing arts. And so this floor to me, I don't know the price difference, and that I guess I wish we had that ahead of time. This one is very light and very bright. I think with that red, and so far the 7 was the first one that stuck out to me, and I really like it. I'm not a fan of any of the ones with a cardinal on them. I like the lettering because if logos do change, or it does change throughout the years, which it has, it kind of goes to the point of both Shelley and Lori. Like, some people like it, some people don't. It's very a mixed thing, where these are, 7 is very solid. So do you know the price difference? Is it because this floor is so much bigger, or is it all of the staining?
It's the square footage, it's the amount. I would say.
But is it because this
I would
floor-
say 10's probably safe.
Oh, yeah, it probably wouldn't be as much.
Because it's a little bit smaller floor, but I would guess, and I can get that number.
You think it's at least 10,000 difference?
I do. Because I will tell you that the guys at the booth that actually do the work that I talked to in Milwaukee, they're like, oh, that fade, you don't want that. That's a lot of work, and that's why it's more. I mean, it is a ton of work because they're spraying that. So there's an artistry to that process. So it just increases the time that they're working on it.
Well, and before the meeting, I really looked at these and I tried to think about it. And I even pulled up pictures on my phone to try to remember what the floor up there looked like, because I was like, why do we really even need to do the floor up there? But then I remembered, because of those bleachers, the whole point is for you to move it over, right? So that was the whole reason that we're going to do it. So I understood that part. I really like number 7.
But I guess devil's advocate again, the elementary school is still not going to match. It's going to be different. And we're
No,
not going to
it
spend
won't.
that kind of money, at least I don't think, now to make all 3 of them look the same.
Well, devil's advocate also, and because I don't know who I agree with, because I hear both sides very loud and clear, but if we all wore a Cardinal shirt, every one of you are different. Yeah. I mean, every team here tries to be different. You've got the Cardinal, she's got something entirely different, so I don't know that we will ever have a brand. I mean, because
Our brand is the Cardinals.
because I thought the winged the only 2 I thought we had was the Fighting Cardinal and the winged, but now the winged is kind of disappearing. So I don't know. How long is it going to be before we come up with something different?
Well, we have,
Which is
because
why I
we
like
actually have the
7 and
one
2.
Bangor thing too.
Yeah.
If you think about that. So, I mean, we have it was over in the corner of your thing with, not that you'd put the words with all the cities around it or anything like that, but I mean, we have a lot of new ones, but
Yep, and I've put that on things that I want to get out and I talk to our communities, and just as a reminder, it's not just Bangor. We are made up of those 7 municipalities, and that's why it's a good reminder for me to keep the focus on how the school district pulls us together as one. So that's why I've used that. We've talked about that early in the referendum process, but yeah, you're right. And I have shirts that we did with just that one and the B, but not the whole logo with all the all the words around it. So, this is your decision. I gave you lots of options here. We could go a not to exceed, and put the full amount, and we could do both of them identical. I think there's something to be said for keeping your varsity floor a level above, distinctly above your other 2 floors. The activity center, I feel pretty confident in saying it will not see a conference basketball game. One, we don't have the bleachers space in that building, even if they were all still there. But that court is a very hard, rigid floor, where this one is meant to give our basketball players, our varsity basketball players, they want to play on this court, not over there. So it's not the same varsity. It is our Parks and Rec that's using it a ton, our middle school sports that's using it a ton. That doesn't have to, in my mind, doesn't have to have that same, when you're looking at a $10,000 difference, it doesn't have to have that same look.
Not if it's at price point. Your number 2, or either one and 2 is the same. The stain's the same. Is the middle white? So like when we look at the activity 1 and 2, it's very light. But when we look at the high school, that's
This
like
one?
a brown.
Are
Yeah.
you're talking this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, either this one or this one.
Those
No,
are the same, but then you go to the top.
Because we have less stain. It's only
So the stain
That's
is
what it is,
only
more
in
of
the
a
3
clear.
point.
Okay.
You'll see the natural wood color, which is what you see.
Oh,
You
the
see natural
stain
wood color
and the
here,
type
and you see
is
natural
what's
wood color
changing
over
your
there.
price.
The stain is a bar.
So
big
it's
part of it.
not white, it's just a natural wood look.
Correct.
That is not what the picture looks like. Okay, thank you. That helps.
Do we have to put anything in the center?
Right now it has a circle that says Bangor.
Can we put the winged cardinal on the activity center?
That's what's on the
Can we
center
put the
here.
winged cardinal on this one? It's another option.
Sorry.
I mean, if you're looking to keep it the same, I would think you would put the B here and then the B up there if that's what we're concerned about or whatever, but.
I mean, this, if we had water damage on the elementary school gym tonight, and we were doing that gym floor too,
just say that out
God,
loud?
not in the same summer. I'm just saying. I would say that would be perfect for
Yes.
that elementary gym.
Disagree.
And it would be fine, it would be fine in the activity center. I think it would speak loudly to the activity center. Are we going to tie, that little bit of history in there? We can still do it with some, the cardinal on the wall, here and there.
I guess the one question I had for you too, and I know we have some representatives here from the Booster Club who made a significant donation to this. They have also been in the group that has put in input along with your coaches, correct?
They've
So as long as, okay,
I asked for feedback. I think I received feedback from 3 people.
Okay.
So not everybody responded, but they all received it.
okay.
Yeah, the Booster Club received the power, well, actually, they received, I should rephrase. They received the PowerPoint that had the 4 choices, I think was the original one we received, which is very similar to number 7.
Yep.
It's just taking the eyes out
and putting the fade in.
and putting the fade into the word Cardinals. So I know two of the 3 for sure that responded to me picked option 4. Again, they weren't given 5, 6, and 7. I mean, if you would want, we can resend it out. I don't think there's a huge difference, and the majority of the people didn't respond at all when I asked for feedback, so.
So looking at the 7 and 2 are pretty much the same design, just different stain, correct?
Different stain and then a no fade.
Right. But the design itself is the same.
Same words. Sorry, I keep going on my computer.
I feel much better knowing that that's not white and it is actually wood color because this picture makes me not think it's wood color. I like light flooring. I'm not, but when I thought it almost looked painted, and that's what I don't want it to look like.
I just try to come up with floors that you can actually see, like, I don't stand on it similar with the dark and the light. It's very popular now.
Yeah, it definitely modernizes it.
I was worried more, first of all, with all the lines with pickleball and volleyball, like, is that gonna be too distracting? But it sounds like it's not, so. I really did put
And was it pretty much unanimous, like with coaching staffs and so on and so forth?
I think this is very well received. I'm getting a very strong sense that we're okay with this, and I really don't anticipate the price changing for that cardinal versus the one with the eyes, because either way they've got some more time in it. So I confident in that pricing. So then the question I guess my question to you is, can we live with everything about this and take away the logo in the center for a second? Can we live with that design to keep the price right in that range where it is? Can we live with that design? I'm not asking about the center circle, so it could be that. Can we live with that for the activity center? And that would be what we would probably do at the elementary school if that ever needed to be redone. What?
We're gonna leave the elementary school just like it
I'm
is.
just saying, but that's,
Stop saying that,
Yep.
David.
so then the decision that you need to make, and I don't know how you want to make it, is do you want that or that? Continuity, that's continuity. That's paying homage to the history of that building. So I guess somebody could make a motion. If it fails, you could make a motion with it the other way.
I keep
And see,
flip flopping, but I like the fighting cardinal more than I like the bee. I don't know. There's too much red or something with the bee. I don't know. There's just something that doesn't look right on this one.
Is there something else you can do with the center? I think someone asked if you can
You
leave
could
it
put
plain, but
you could put the winged cardinal. That's what's on center court here right now.
So just to clarify, the walls are going to be the same at both schools, the
Correct.
same design. So
Yep.
we're going to have the winged cardinal on the wall, or we would.
There's not going to be a wall like at the activity center like
that's
here.
what I wanted
I mean,
to-
they're low, right, on the sides.
And the beams,
Because the
right?
Timbers coming down.
Yep.
Dignified here, yeah, and those.
The timbers coming down.
Well, if nobody else is going to make a motion, I'm going to. And you can either yay or nay. I'm going to make a motion to approve middle school, high school concept 7 and activity center concept 1 is mine, but
Can we please do those as separate votes?
okay. I will make a motion to approve middle school, high school concept 7.
I'll second.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Lisa for middle school, high school resurfacing gym floor concept 7. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
David, do you need that right now? Do you need the activity center design now? Like, there's nothing else that can be changed on that between those two to blend.
What are you recommending?
I don't know. I'm just asking the question before we get, I don't know if
I think as long as it's within that price range, I would like
it
to
has to
get
stay
the
simple.
contract. I would like
And
to. I would like to get the contract signed with them so that we know we have them. Our timeline, when we look at the gym use, is so tight that I just don't want to have any risk of losing them. But we can increase the not to exceed and, do that as a third action item here. But what do you want me to design?
I don't know. I think it's just with the conversation, like Joni's going to look at the floor right now. Like, so
We're not wowed yet.
everybody's
Right.
still say that.
We're like not wowed yet with the activity center. No one's like,
I'm
really
okay
want
with
this.
I am totally okay with when you asked, like, if you take that center out, I'm totally fine with it.
So why are you, or what is your reason you're opposed to the center? You just don't like it, or?
What else would you put there?
I know.
Because blank is
Blah.
blank
Yeah.
as ever. So I mean,
And I
It
get
feels
the nostalgia piece for that building. I mean, I get that because it is part of where the community has gone in the past. So I get that. But for all the people in the community who are not or have not lived here forever, is it going to resonate with them? So there is that nostalgia piece, but there's also the other piece of it's not going to resonate with what, I mean, if they've never seen that before, they're going to walk in and be like, what is that? Now, I understand David's supposedly putting it on the sign out front, and well, that's what you suggested when we talked the other day. So, I mean, if that's the plan to put it on everything else, then yeah, I mean.
We have not approved that final drawing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's nostalgia, and then there's also for all the people that want the nostalgia piece, that you're going to have the flip side of all the people that don't as well. And one of my questions would be, who are those people? Yes, voting is a big deal because there are a lot of people that go there for voting. It is something I didn't think about from that perspective.
It's just Bangor.
But it's
It's
Bangor.
not all your voters.
It's just the village.
Yeah.
Right. But I think there's a lot of people from a nostalgia piece, they're not going to understand what that means.
I guess that's why we have history books, isn't it? I mean, why teach history? People don't understand World War I, World War II, they didn't live it.
Correct.
I think if the building tells the story, it will fit.
We went through
Just
the
vote.
work to keep the look of the old barn. We wanted that to stay because of the look of it, what that building meant. I mean, for anyone coming in, no one knows that there was brand new coming in. No one knows there was a school there. No one knows that that was an addition onto the school that was there forever. It's basically an opportunity to have history taught.
Can there be something in the hallway of like history and remembering that logo, awards, like
Yeah,
that kind of thing?
that's what we're hoping for. There's a wall where the 1956 plaque is, that I think would be a great place for a history wall.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
that
We should
building.
have a history wall up there.
Well, if we're thinking about doing a history wall, then I would make the motion to go with option 2 so that it's not with the design of number 2 at the price that you have it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Tina, seconded by Kelly for Bangor Activity Concept 2. Should we take a roll call vote?
Don't start with me because I don't have my vote yet.
Okay, we can start with Kelly.
Are you ready? Do you want to further discuss?
We can
'Cause
further
we can-
discuss it. I don't know.
just thought we were to a point where everybody was kind of where they wanted to be. So
I'm going to say this.
we're gonna
You
sit
guys
on
know
this
I've
all
been
night.
here 3 years. I feel like I've been here a lot longer than that. I love this community. I feel like I've been welcome into this community. It is a great place to be. I think our kids and our community win no matter which one of those logos is in the center. I really do. And the space that they are going to get up there, very few are going to say, oh man, that B is the same, or oh man, I think when you look at the overall space, when you look at everything else about that, and we're talking about that center circle, there's not a wrong vote here. I think both are going to do what they want to do. We can still honor the history of that building with or without that. It was a concept brought to me that I brought to you. So I don't think anybody needs to feel guilty about what that ends up being. And if the B brings the continuity across the buildings, then that's good. If we want that nostalgia, it's good. There's not a bad answer there. So I don't think there has to be further discussion. Our community and athletes and all of the kids that are going to get a chance to use this space are going to have an amazing space that's made possible. And what's on the middle of that floor is not going to negatively impact that in any way. So I would say you've got a motion on the table, discuss it all you want, but take a vote, and there's not a bad vote here.
I think you're starting on that side.
Okay.
Aye.
Nay.
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 I'm an aye.
It doesn't matter.
I think you still have to vote.
You still have to say, Joni.
Nay.
Okay. So can we, okay, go ahead, Shelley.
Different motion?
I'll make a motion to go with option 1, Activity Center Concept 1.
I'll second.
Motion made by Shelley, seconded by Lisa for the Bangor Activity Center Concept 1 for the resurfacing and renovation of the gym floor. We'll do roll call. Kelly?
Nay.
Nay.
Aye.
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 Nay.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-3. Thank you. All right, round 2 of elementary furniture.
Oh, man. All right. So the, I guess the thing with the elementary furniture is you guys saw there's lots of boxes there to unbox. We did that first order. I put here in the public comment, remember those phases that we were looking at doing this in. I'm a little bit late on this, but we're still fine with the timeline to get our furniture here for the fall for the classrooms that are happening inside. So this round of furniture will cover the elementary library, the 4K classrooms, special education rooms, the music room, the new discovery lab, title rooms, and we'll also include the stage for this building, the portable small stage that we'll use for programs and stuff in this space. So that would all be here for the start of the school year. If you remember, originally in the elementary school budget or the district budget, we had budgeted about $325,000 for furniture. I took the furniture part and worked with vendors and found the material, the ideas or the furniture that we wanted at the best prices that we wanted, and have ordered all through the same vendor, which is Scholastic, or excuse me, is School Specialty. And with that, we have been able to use ESSER funds instead of the originally allocated money in the referendum. And we allocated $172,785 of ESSER funds towards this. So what I'm asking for is the cost not to exceed $97,000 for this second round. And part of that is as we're still working on the library shelves, they may do some custom ones for about the same price that we're looking at doing more standardized shelves right now. So I'm waiting for that back and forth. That $97,000 still keeps us at or below that ESSER 3 amount of $172,785 with the original order. You said not to exceed $120,000 on that first order, and we did that for $76,000. So by the time we got everything shook out, so right now I'm anticipating we'll still have about $15,000 of that remaining when we get this when we get through this order. But basically saying that's what we're spending on furniture. So as we have other things that pop up for the projects, as the teachers get into their space and we realize we need a few more things, we're going to keep within that $97,000, and I will notify you if and when we actually have to go into any of the referendum funds for furniture. So right now, not anticipating spending all of that, but would like the approval to spend up to $97,000, keeping within that original $172,000 from ESSER.
When you first started, you said something about a stage.
So in this space, because we lose this stage and this is all level, Rick and I have talked about, I believe it's a 24-inch portable stage that will be, I've got it in my office, about 16 foot long and 12 foot wide. So when they do like an awards banquet or something like that, we'll be able to set that stage over here on this side of the room, and we'll be able to have the podium and a couple of those types of things in there. So when it's not being used, it goes on carts and stacks up on carts, and we'll go into our storage area.
I was just gonna ask what you'd use it for, but you gave an example.
Yep.
And you would do all those still here in the same common,
So not a performance, but like
just for like awards nights,
like the
or
awards night that happens
a
Sunday night.
signing or
Yep,
all
yep.
of those things.
We would be able to set that stuff up. I think of the scholarship night and those types of things where there's take a couple steps up because we don't have this level change anymore. Just elevates the presenters at that point in time, or the people getting their picture taken or whatever at that point in time. So
The furniture, we've seen all of it down there, but the rooms, did all the rooms get the same kind of standard things, or did they get some like flexible seating, or how is it going to work with what we have now versus what you're purchasing? Like you're not just getting rid of everything we have now.
No.
How does that happen?
I would say grade levels, we kept the grade levels consistent. And same thing with title, same thing with 4K, same thing, so the grade levels are consistent, and it is a combination of more traditional, desk type seating and flexible seating. And there are different options for each of those classrooms. So every one of them will be set up slightly different, but the importance of interchangeability was something that Mike and I talked about a lot, which means as class sizes fluctuate, we don't have 3 tables that are sitting in a storage room. We can take those 3 tables and we can move them to the next classroom down because their class size is up and this class size is down, or whatever it may be.
I was just talking more flexible seating because you know how popular
Yep.
flexible seating
Yep.
is, and
We have
how
a ton of
moving
that.
around, right?
Yeah.
And like, I just want to make sure that our classrooms down there are as great as the building we just walked through, and it's not like stainless steel desks straight across, and
No.
then this is where you sit for the day. Like that would terrify me.
So our teachers were really awesome in those conversations, and grade levels kind of said we wanted continuity across grade levels, and they're going to have that option. They've had that choice. There's a lot of wobble stools down there. There's a lot of stand up desks. The floor seating, those types of things. There's a lot of options for that.
Your desks that were like first on the list, those are teacher desks for down there. What were those desks for? They were narrow and they had wheels on them, but then we were down there and then it looked like they had a workspace too.
Yep.
Does that desk, it doesn't go up, right?
It does
standard.
not. Second grade wanted desks and not just the built-in section. So they're
Like
the only
movable ones?
Yep,
Okay.
they're the only grade level that they really felt strongly that they wanted a desk in their room. So they will have those. The rest, nobody else chose to go with those desks.
And you're going to have funds kind of pushed to the side after we're done and we're like, oh, we still need this.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And that's where I'll come back to you. And again, there'll be some of those referendum dollars that we can put towards this. I'm trying to stay out of that to keep our fund that I talked about earlier, trying to keep that as much intact as possible so that we can make the right decisions at the end of this. So trying to stay within these ESSER funds right now.
So if you have flexible seating right now in some rooms, they're still going to take that with them.
A
They're
lot
gonna
of
take
of it.
Okay.
I'm going to be a little bit picky on only nice looking stuff is going in. We're not putting dirty, gross, funky colors in the new edition because it's too nice a space. So,
Well, I mean,
yes.
funky colors, but okay.
Yes.
Any other questions for David regarding the elementary furniture round 2?
I'll make a motion to approve Phase 2 of furniture purchase for the elementary addition from School Specialty at a cost not to exceed $97,000.
Second that.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Shelley to approve round 2 elementary furniture as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Julie, we did the motions on the floor choices. Do you need a motion for the sanding, repainting, finishing also? Yes.
It probably would be good. I think we can go back to that, can't you?
Yeah.
That not to exceed dollar amount.
Okay.
I mean, those are the floors that we had. So, and we approved those floors.
Gotcha. Okay.
Good pickup.
Yep. Thank you.
Do we need to literally
Do we need to change what we did?
No, I would say motion to approve the repainting, finishing middle school activity floors by Stalker Floors at a cost not to exceed $69,500.
What he said, I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Shelley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Tina, for picking up on that.
I was just making sure that we didn't have anything else to go with it.
No,
Thank you. Good work.
and you're exactly right. At first, I didn't know what you meant, but I do now.
We-
Thank you.
So Gene, you'll have that, the two motions on the, yeah, what he said. Yeah, you got it. All
Are
right.
you okay, Jean?
I'm sure we broke something of Robert's order, rules of order there, but I think we know what we all did, so we're good.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we can always do the flooring one if we, or the furniture
No,
one
you-
again, but I think it was important to
Right.
have
no,
the amounts on there.
Exactly.
Thank you, Tina.
Okay, personnel non-administrative reports. Let's see, who are we going to start with? Mr. Chaplin.
No.
Well, that was easy. Mr. Johnson.
Thanks, Julie. Just a real recap. We had parent-teacher conferences the other day. Just over 88% of families showed up. It's pretty typical for the spring. Just a great turnout. You saw tonight the art show that was put on that evening as well, and just seeing the parents and how Ms. Tauscher did that was just all the different grade levels are all randomly placed. So the kids and families spent a lot of time looking, and just want to, commend her, Ms. Tauscher's efforts on that, because I was helping her hang a lot of those things. She's really brought a lot of really great ideas to our district, and the parents appreciated it that night. And as well as, so forward exam planning, this is difficult in a construction site. So basically the third, fourth, and fifth graders are going to take the forward exam. They will all be in that one large wing April 4th. So we're going to actually do our testing starting April 9th, 10th, and 11th. So we'll have the ability to just actually close off that area. As I said to my kindergarten teachers, they could probably shoot off fireworks down there and we wouldn't be bothered by it. It's a nice opportunity. I will say I don't love the timing of some of this stuff because kids are habit creatures, and anytime you upset that apple cart, it can have an effect. We also, really looked at last year's the way that we rolled out the forward exam in terms of which tests came when, and it really felt stretched out last year. And I do think, kids are kids. And I think by the end of so many exams, so many days of it, they were kind of like, all right, I'm done with this. And it did negatively affect our scores. This year, we really, third and fifth grade will be done with literacy and math in 3 days. We got good times for that, and they did change the forward exam this year a little bit, so it allows for that a little bit better. Our fourth graders will spill into the next week with their social studies and science. Last year we did social studies and science first, thinking we were just give kids kind of that warm up type of thing, and I don't think that necessarily worked out in our favor. So we're going to hit the literacy first, math will come second, and then we'll work on our science and social studies the following week. And then the third and fifth graders will already be done with everything by then. So hopefully that clears that, and that's what we're doing.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson? Thank you. Mr. Mullenberg.
Thank you, Julie. Parent-teacher conference update up here. We had 373 individual conferences. Was right in line with our spring numbers typically. We still had 10 to 15% that were virtual. So that was one of the things I kind of wanted to track, was that still being utilized? And so obviously it is, it's a good thing for some people. So we'll continue to offer that option as well. So I always enjoy seeing people coming into the building, and I try to pop in on some of the virtual ones as well. Yesterday, statewide, the window opened up for ACT testing. We did ours yesterday for our juniors. Sophomores took the practice ACT just because we were going to start. Somebody started drilling a hole in the wall outside of one of the rooms, so they were putting up a camera. So I put an end to that. They were very good about it. They said, "Can you hear that inside?" Yeah, pretty much. So it was a comical moment, but it was nice having the freshmen and seniors gone. Remember, we had the freshmen here that first day. That high school wing was absolutely quiet. And then it was the first year I also allowed the sophomores to go home when they were finished with the practice. And what I found in the past was we would, after they would get done testing, academically, they wouldn't do anything in classes. So then we tried a few other activities. Well, then parents were calling in, letting their kids go. And then one would get called, and a second, and we just had a steady line going in. So I thought, you know what? This time of the year, a lot of the sophomores have their licenses. So let's give that a try. And that was, I feel like it was a success. The kids were ready after that to be done with the day after 4 hours of testing. For the juniors, it was 4.5 hours. We did offer them lunch here. Interestingly enough, 11 said they would eat lunch, and 2 showed up. Didn't make our cook very happy, but we didn't have the names of them. But I thought it went well yesterday. We do have a makeup date of March 26th, 2 weeks from yesterday, and we have 4 students that will be taking it on the makeup day. Unfortunate, one person had their appendix out unexpectedly. Another one had an illness. Another one was pre-planned on vacation we knew about. So we have arrangements for that. It's a little bit more difficult because you have to be in an absolute quiet space. It's required by ACT, no distractions, with the construction going on to find a space. So I'm working with Nicholas from Nexus on that, and I think we have it narrowed down, especially with that activity center or the old school. We're using that tomorrow for additional time for accommodated test for an hour, and they've been good about that. So we'll get there. It's always one of those things with ACT that you're like, I'm always excited for, but then nervous as well. I mean, you obviously want your kids to do well, and the hard work that the staff puts in. So we're really cognizant about the proctors that we use. The same thing with our forward exam coming up this year for our middle school teachers or middle school kids. We will have them in their core classrooms for the testing. That was an idea I got from Cashton when we were up there. That's how they do that. But so your math teacher does the math, English does English. So we're going to try that this year. And I think that'll give us a little bit more because the expectations are a certain, in those rooms. So, but yeah, ACT went off well yesterday. First year we did it on the Chromebooks. We had 3 glitches that all worked out okay. One of them, the screen went black for 30 seconds and then it came back just fine. There is an auto save that happens. Another one flashed a couple times and then was fine after that and everything saved. And then a third one they brought in to me, the screen froze. I mean, it was just absolutely frozen and the time was up. I mean, that when they start the time, I mean, you get so much. The student was done, so that was good. So I was on the line with ACT, the lady from the state. And I thought, well, I have a mouse sitting here. Plugged it in, everything was good. So I was really worried that student was going to have to either, because what'll happen is they won't let you count that, So, and then we did have 2 opt-outs. So, but overall, went well. I really appreciate the effort that the staff put in, and we were posted throughout the school, making sure that the middle schoolers weren't coming down and doing things like that. But I'm hoping for good results as well. And I did hear at least 3 different kids saying they wanted their name on that ACT board. Mm-hmm. So that was really neat to hear that. So.
Any questions for Mr. Mellenberg?
I just have a comment for both of you. I know on here you both have the same things, but your testing communication is very appreciated. The kids may know, but they don't always come home and tell you. So your email and your communication to the parents to know not to schedule during those times and to be ready for those times is very helpful. So that is very much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. David?
I do not have anything. I did attend a breakfast at the technical college this week, and they had these brochures, so I brought a few back. As you get to the consent agenda, you're going to approve the ECCP and Start College Now courses. There's a page in there, I think it's the second chart with all the school districts and some financials. I think the second document in there shows the amount of money we save our families by providing them this opportunity. It's very affordable for our district, but getting those kids those credits ahead of time is just huge, and I think it was just really worth seeing as you approve these. The other thing with the technical college that was very interesting to look at is within the first 3 years after graduation, 25% of our population will have taken classes at Western Tech, and that's just a great resource in our backyard, and if we can help get them started while they're still in school, that's a great thing. So I just wanted to share that brochure with you. Feel free to take a look at that and take it with you. And as you look at that in the consent agenda, I wanted you to have that. So,
And David, I'd like to chime in, piggybacking off of something that Lori said earlier. We have been pushing harder for apprenticeships. We have 2 apprenticeships this year, and then we have 2 set up for next year already. So that's an avenue that we're trying to utilize a lot more, working with employers and students, trying to find good fits there as well. Next year, I believe we have 25 kids set up to take classes off campus here. So that number continues to grow at Western and UWL.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right, next, removal of items from the consent agenda. Consent agenda items include current openings, which are listed, recurring overnight FCCLA trip to the State Leadership Conference. In your packet, you can read through that, page 25 through 28. And then the ECCP SCN course approvals, which are in your packet, page 29 and 30.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion made by Shelley, seconded by Kelly to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We'll now adjourn to closed session. I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Shelley. We'll do roll call. Joni, you can
Aye.
start.
Aye.
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 Thank you. We are now in closed session. Thank you.
And just a reminder, we will stop the recording at this point in time. The board will not reconvene to full open session, and no votes will be taken after closed session.